Let's take you now to Parliament, where an ad hoc committee probing allegations of corruption in the criminal justice system has been questioning KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. He spent a second day expanding on his claims. Newzroom Africa's Zoleka Qodashe is tracking proceedings and joins us live from Cape Town. Zoleka, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us right now. So in the latter part of the day, we've been seeing the Lieutenant General answering questions of the smaller political parties, the PA, the IFP and Action SA, and many of which posing questions that were showing links between the workings of these cartels related to some of those that were holding positions such as ministers, but also the deterioration that we are seeing in our communities.
That's correct, Katleho. And also what they've intended to do, particularly from Action SA's Darylene James, is to sort of draw the links between these criminal syndicates and political parties. In the questions that she was asking what links these political parties have to criminal syndicates have to political parties, and really zooming in there, getting answers from Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, the top cop in KZN, on the links that these cartels have, or criminal syndicates, to the ANC. Those are some of the questions that she was asking in relation to the evidence that has been given by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi yesterday. So those are the questions that we've been hearing. Also, we've been seeing political parties kind of pulling in different directions, trying to get as much and extract as much from Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi as possible. Something that I think they're assisting the evidence leader with, because you'll remember that yesterday those were the questions. There were questions from the evidence leader that were asked to Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi in relation to his evidence in chief. But something that was also posed to Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is really the deterioration of the police service in relation to the politicization of the police service, or the SAPS. And he said that this started during after the Polokwane conference of the ANC, also saying that there were instances where SAPS members were now being recruited to be part of political parties. Now, he's already said that he is apolitical and chooses to do so, and in fact chooses not to be regarded as part of a political party. And so this has been a concern for him as well as for the broader police service. But let's just listen to what he says in relation to the deterioration of the police service.
The situation became worse after the ANC Polokwane conference in 2007, because while you were there in a conference when the former deputy president, who became a president later, was fired, that's where we started seeing the real division, because he gets fired and the police that's supposed to protect him, the former deputy president at the time, started not gaining favors or support from their commanders in Pretoria. And the former president will travel with his members in an armored vehicle where the windows don't open in the 35 degrees heat, and the aircon won't be working. And they will be traveling London bread of KZN, and they'll be calling their commanders for a better vehicle, and they will be told that man is not a president, so he must drive in that heat. So the members started experiencing that. So the members within that space started getting conditioned into politics themselves, because then they favor this one who's now not treated bad. Fast forward to that, we then have a conference in Polokwane. The police management goes there, but they don't go there to police the African National Congress conference. They are going there to erect their own marquee tent on the side with alcohol and everything else to celebrate the victory that was coming. And the unfortunate part happened is that the deputy president was fired, won that election in Polokwane. And the return of the leadership back to Pretoria changed everything in the police, because we started getting a recruitment to join political parties within the police premises in Pretoria, within the protection services in the main. The division of the police got affected the most is the PSS that protects the VIPs.
Katlego, what I think was also interesting were those submissions by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi in relation to a classified IPID report. You'll remember that there is an IPID report into Phala, which has been deemed as classified, and he essentially questioned why this is, because the task of IPID is to really combat crime and to assist the SAPS. And so what he says is that he doesn't understand why there would be a classified IPID report that was also classified by the police minister, that's Senzo Mchunu, before he was placed on leave of absence. So it seems that Phala really isn't going away for the president in relation to that. But also what we heard from Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was also the mention again of the late Nathi Mthethwa. You'll remember that the name of the late ambassador is not new to these proceedings. In fact, he was also mentioned before the Commission of Inquiry that's investigating allegations of criminal infiltration in the police service. And what Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi had said before the fact-finding body then is that he was pressured, or rather, Nathi Mthethwa had tried to get him to stop investigating Richard Mdluli, who was then the crime intelligence head, and that he was, of course, pulled into the room. But he also says that former President Jacob Zuma, he tried to raise the alarm with former President Jacob Zuma when this was happening, but he did not get any joy from that particular engagement. Let's just listen to what he had to say in relation to that.
And I must say, Honorable Chair and members, I did not know about the Guptas before until Sheraton Hotel in Pretoria, when I was invited to meet these gentlemen by the late minister, who says, do not use City Press and Sunday Times to advertise. We always advertise post on those newspapers because they've got a big footprint in the country. We're looking for something, we advertise on those newspapers. And the minister says, don't use those papers because they're not helping, they don't want to transform and so forth. Use New Age. Yeah, well, I thought, okay, maybe we need to rotate papers, maybe New Age must have an opportunity. I didn't even know what is New Age. Then I went to the office. When I presented this thing to the management, they said to me, you know who owns New Age? I said, no, who owns it? They say the Guptas. I said, okay, so what is wrong? At the time, remember, I'm coming from operations side. I don't even know what this Guptas are about. They said, no, these ones are implicated politically in this fashion and that fashion. Besides, they don't have the footprint equal to what the Sunday Times and City Press has. So if we advertise through them, there are a lot of people are not going to get information anyway, because they don't supply their papers across the land and breadth of the country. So that's how I got to expose. So taking those and adding them together, then I realized I'm in deep in a political space here, and I'm not comfortable with this, and I cannot take it. I'm either going to fight with the minister, which is going to end ugly. Let me tell the president that this is not what I signed for. So it's either the president allows the minister to do what he does, or he let me go and go back to the operations and chase criminals.
Katlego, there were also questions regarding the allegations that Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi made on the 6th of July 2025. That's when he made those bombshell allegations alleging that there were various senior politicians as well as parliamentarians that were involved in this criminal syndicate, also saying that the justice system, and that is in particular the judiciary, was also involved. You'll remember that he had previously spoken about a magistrate that was involved in, or rather presided over, the criminal case of the head of crime intelligence, that's Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo, who he says imposed conditions, bail conditions that were not asked for or applied for by the state in that criminal matter. And so Julius Malema, the leader of the EFF, really asking him if that wasn't an overreach, really, in saying that the judiciary was captured in that regard. And in fact, because he sits on the Judicial Service Commission, the JSC, which is the body that is tasked with looking at and interviewing candidates for judicial posts, saying that essentially this is a worry to him and that may be an overreach. Let's just listen to what he said in that regard.
General, was it not an overreach to say in that press conference that the judiciary is also involved? Because judiciary, me and you and all of us, we have a duty to protect it with everything we have. It can't be that a magistrate who has faltered wherever, because I believe if a magistrate has faltered, there is a recourse. We can take this on appeal and do all manner of things. But to use a judgment of a magistrate to then say judiciary is involved, I think it was a bit overreach. I get the point what you were trying to drive home, especially a magistrate. As a member of the Judicial Service Commission, judiciary to us is judges. We know magistrates is part of that. But when you are asked to give example of these judicial people who are involved in this wrongdoing and who are given a name of a magistrate compared to what we had at the press conference, I think there was an overreach there.
Honorable Member, I had said earlier, unfortunately, you'll appreciate at the Madlanga Commission, there are two presentations that are done there. It's an open one and the in-camera. If this ad committee were to adopt similar approach, perhaps maybe engaging the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence, you will hear things that might shock you about that, what you believe is a judiciary, which is judges.
All right, Zoleka, so the committee is currently on a recess, on a dinner break. Do you know how long we are still going to be with regards to the number of political parties that still have to pose their questions to General Mkhwanazi?
That's correct. We are currently on a lunch break to resume at 8:30. What will then happen is that there will be more questions that will be put to Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi by the ANC as well as the DA. We understand that each party member will get 30 minutes. And so we expect that it might also be an all-nighter as we saw yesterday.
All right, Zoleka Qodashe out in Cape Town following and tracking those proceedings for us of the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee that is probing allegations of corruption and in the criminal justice system.